updates on the rising COVID-19 cases in the state of Mississippi.
And how we are looking locally as the cold and flu season begins. That latest on that and more next.
Good evening and thank you for tuning into Newswatch Ole Miss. I'm KYLEE DEDMON.
And I'm Mason SCIONEAUX.
In 1970, he came to the university looking for a degree and left with a jail certificate instead.
Today he's being honored as one of the most celebrated faculty members at the university. More with Newswatch reporter Carter Diggs. Carter?
From co-founding the original Black Student Union, to an arrest and expulsion following a protest in 1970, and to returning to that same university years later to teach, retired professor and faculty member Dr. Don Cole possesses one of the most extensive histories with Ole Miss today. And now, he is being honored by the same university that spurned him all those years ago. Martindale Hall will soon be known as the Martindale Cole Hall.
For the current moment, it's a surreal moment. It probably will remain that way for a while.
Cole expressed satisfaction at having his name added to a building dedicated to helping students.
Everything that a student needs somehow resides in that building, and that's I don't know. That just almost is icing on the cake, because those of us who work at the university, almost in any capacity, our job is service to the students.
Cole also shared old memories of Martindale as a gymnasium that he used to frequent as a student, and still considers a beautiful building to this day.
There was nothing better than a Friday afternoon in the Martindale gym there, relaxing on the basketball court, by running till you almost drop. And I guess we, for young kids at that age, we call that relaxing.
Carter Diggs, Newswatch, Ole Miss.
Thanks, Carter. Looking towards the future, Cole seeks to have his retirement be one in name only and wants to keep working towards making the university an even more welcoming environment for students. On the rise in Mississippi, COVID-19 cases continue to jump towards new heights heading into the flu and cold season. Ole Miss currently has 27 active confirmed COVID-19 cases, including both students and staff, staying steady from last week, while experiencing over 600 confirmed cases inside the town of Oxford since school resumed. According to the university dashboard, Lafayette County reporting 95 cases, a continuing decline for our isolated area. The state unfortunately not looking as promising, reporting over 950 cases. All reports from Wednesday.
COVID-19 infections are on the rise across the nation and in parts of Mississippi. Hospitals are feeling the effects. But at Oxford's Baptist Hospital, only 19 of the 181 staffed beds are being occupied by COVID-19 patients. And of the 24 available ICU beds, only 5 are being occupied by coronavirus patients. Oxford Emergency Management Coordinator Jimmy Allgood says that active cases in Lafayette County are on the decline, with 86 active cases as of Wednesday. Masks and other precautions seem to be driving the decrease. This comes as Governor Reeves announced Monday new mask mandates in 9 counties with growing numbers of cases and shrinking numbers of hospital availability. We have the updates on the city threatening to take away outdoor dining licenses for businesses after failing to follow the governor's executive orders and the city's ordinances. The Oxford Board of Aldermen voted Tuesday to revoke outdoor dining licenses for both the ANNEX and RAFTER'S. Both have been cited twice by OPD. Harrison's 1810, the Library, Roosters, and Oxford Grill House have all been cited once and are at risk for losing their own licenses. All 8 citations were handed down because the businesses allowed patrons to stand up inside the restaurant or at the bar. Governor Reeves' executive order mandates that patrons must be seated to be served and they cannot congregate in large groups.
The Oxford Board of Aldermen voted once again to not pursue a lawsuit with Lafayette County to determine who owns the land where the Confederate monument stands on the courthouse and the square. The issue came about in June when Mayor Robin Tanhill was contacted by local citizens asking the city to look into whether it might actually own the land the statue sits on. The board voted 4-3 not to legally pursue the issue of ownership. Mayor Tanhill addressed the matter and said due to the lack of strong evidence of ownership And to protect the relationship between the city and county boards, the alderman will not be taking the matter to court. Oxford saw a 19% sales tax increase from August to July and a 6% tax increase from last August to now. Mayor Tannehill said she was not surprised by this increase, as she was expected this with businesses opening back up again due to the return of the fall semester. The Oxford Stadium tax and city's tourism tax also increased this year.
COVID-19 has forced the cancellation of countless events since March, causing dire consequences for organizations that rely on fundraisers to support their budgets. The Lafayette County CASA, court-appointed special advocates, usually hosts its annual fundraiser like the one seen in this video, works to better the lives of abused and neglected children in foster care. The local chapter has 31 open cases, with 55 children currently needing fostering. According to founding executive director Aaron Smith, each child requires a budget of $100 for basic needs. Without its 2020 fundraiser and lacking individual donors, CASA has relied on financial help from the Board of Supervisors to continue helping Lafayette County children in times of crisis. To donate or find out how to help, visit the CASA of Lafayette County website. And the State Fair is underway in Jackson as COVID-19 worries continue to flood in. Caroline Chrysler has the story.
According to the Mississippi State Department of Agriculture and Commerce, things are going to look a little different at the State Fair this year. In spite of restrictions, expectations have remained high.
I went last year to the fair, and obviously there was no rules, but this year with COVID, I didn't really know what to expect because the mask mandate was lifted in Mississippi, but in Oxford it's still a thing.
Masks were expected to be worn, distance maintained, routine sanitization of all rides, as well as hand sanitizing stations were expected to be everywhere.
My expectations for the fair were for employees to wear masks, attendees to wear masks, as well as law enforcement that were there to wear a mask.
MAULDIN found that not everyone was being held accountable for the restrictions set at the fair.
Well, not everybody was following the rules, definitely. There were times when people were really close together, and obviously not everybody was wearing their masks.
Although things look different from last year, MAULDIN was still able to find the silver linings in order to have fun with her friends.
I felt like there was a lot more space where I can walk around in just because there weren't as many people there. But one of the things that wasn't open was the livestock, which we were able to see last year, and it was just fun because we got to see some cows and goats and to pet them and feed them. But it's okay because we were still able to do all the rides and the food, so it was still a lot of fun.
Despite other visitors and employees not taking proper precautions, Loveless and MAULDIN are not concerned about contracting the virus themselves.
I am not concerned about getting COVID because I made sure to sanitize my hands after each ride and maintain social distance.
I felt safe just because of my precautions, and I kept my distance and I wore my mask when I felt like I needed to.
Caroline Chrysler, Newswatch, Ole Miss.
Thanks, Caroline. You know, I was really starting to enjoy our fall weather that we had, but unfortunately it is back to feeling like our typical Mississippi heat this week.
Well, rain is hopefully dropping those back down heading into the weekend. Stay tuned for the weather update.
When I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Hi, I am Matthew Fry and welcome back to Newswatch. Tonight's forecast will be a low 50 degrees. Light thunderstorms will roll in throughout the night with winds coming in at 9 to 10 miles per hour to add to a 70% chance of rain. Moving on to tomorrow's forecast, it will be an unusual 60 degrees. Cloudy skies will fill the night sky with winds also coming in at 7 miles per hour to add to a 10% chance of rain. Moving on over to the weekend, it will be mostly cloudy and it will be almost as hot as summer, so make sure to dress appropriately.
The Rebel football squad might have taken a loss last weekend, but one Ole Miss team is looking to pull ahead in a series against an in-state rival. Coming up in sports, I'll break that down and all of the latest, so stay tuned.
I am a nurse,
a firefighter,
a college student,
a mother, and I am an American soldier.
I will always be ready
for every storm
and disaster that threatens my community.
I will always be there to protect my neighbors,
my family,
and my country.
We are the Army National Guard.
We are the Army National Guard.
We are the Army National Guard.
Visit nationalguard.com to learn more about part-time service.
Pick six, 6 picks, Matt Corral did it all against the Razorbacks in a game where the Rebs couldn't have looked much more different from the team that took Bama to the fourth quarter the week before. Coach Kiffin expressed his disappointment with the whole offense earlier this week.
I think he learned a lot from this, and we didn't play well around him. For the first game, we had drops, a number of them, significant, including fourth down. So, bad recipe.
While the offense left much to be desired, the Rebel defense showed up in a new way last week. They'll have a chance to keep the train rolling this weekend. The Rebs are looking for a statement win to get back on track Saturday against the 2-2 Auburn Tigers, who, like the Rebs, have played close games all season, with the exception of a blowout loss to the Georgia Bulldogs. Sports Watch reporter Jonte Williams is here to give you his take on this week's Shark Bite Shakedown.
The Ole Miss football team looked like a completely different team against Arkansas versus how they looked against Alabama. Going into Arkansas week, the Rebel offense was averaging more than 550 total yards a game, while the defense was giving up more than 50 points a contest. However, on Saturday, it was the defense trying to keep Ole Miss in fighting position. The Auburn Tigers are headed to Oxford this weekend for the homecoming matchup against the Rebels. The Tigers are seeking redemption after a loss to the South Carolina Gamecocks last weekend. Despite Auburn leading the game in total yards, 3 costly interceptions from sophomore quarterback Bo Nix ended up deciding the game for South Carolina. One way Ole Miss can come out with the win is if they create unrest through the Auburn offense and force turnovers. The Tigers have lost both games this season when trailing in the turnover ratio. If the Ole Miss offense that played Alabama and the defense that played Arkansas both show up on Saturday, it can be a good day to be a Rebel.
That one kicks off at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning at the Vaught, so wear red and don't forget the mask if you're headed to the homecoming game against the Tigers. Kicking it over to the court, the Ole Miss volleyball season is underway. The Rebs started their season last night against Texas A&M and look to get the win in Game 2 tonight. The squad disappointed last year after a strong start to the season, so now it's time to see what head coach Kayla Banwarth has in store for her first season at the helm. She doesn't have much time to fine-tune her team, as only 6 games will remain in the shortened season once the Rebs finish up with the Aggies tonight. Make sure to tune into that game at 6 o'clock on the SEC Network. Now passing it over to the pitch, the Lady Rebs soccer team is 2-3 on the season after taking down Bama 2-0 on Saturday. Senior Ole Miss standout Channing Foster netted her first goal of the season in just the 10th minute, and sophomore Mo O'Connor backed her up with a shot off an Alabama leg that went in for the Rebels' second goal after the break. And Ole Miss goalie Ashley Orcus blanked her opponent for the second time this season. The Lady Rebs will look to get to 500 tomorrow at 3 as they host the 4-1 Arkansas Razorbacks, who will try to bounce back from their first loss of the season. Finally, from the soccer net to the internet, the 3rd annual Esports Egg Bowl is going down this weekend. The event normally takes place in the pavilion, but due to COVID-19, it will be an online competition this time around. Rather than one day with 7 games, this year it will be 2 days with 9, adding Valorant and Madden to the normal lineup. The Rebs came out with a win last year to even the series up at 1 apiece. You can watch the Rebs take on the Bulldogs on twitch.tv/Ole Miss Esports starting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Well, that's all I've got for sports. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Newswatch Ole Miss. Now back to you.
Thanks, Justin. We have just over a little left of month's goal for this fall semester. So many seniors are preparing for graduation.
Yes, and Ole Miss just announced what the class of 2021 will be leaving behind for future students. More on that after the break.
We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are distinguished as a Carnegie R1 top 2.5% research institution. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
It's about that time for the seniors to toss those graduation caps in the air.
Yes, Kylie, and with graduation comes the tradition of a senior gift from the class.
This year, the 2021 graduates will support the Inclusive Excellence Retention Fund, aiding students focusing on inclusion, diversity, and respect on campus. They are doing this alongside the Center for Inclusion and Cross-Cultural Engagement.
This fund will provide grants to students who who actively promote those three topics of diversity, inclusion, and respect. To donate, please visit the UM Foundation website, and senior class and Lyceum t-shirts are available to buy also to support this cause.
You know, being a senior, it's bittersweet, but I'm excited to buy those t-shirts to help out with this great cause.
And being an Ole Miss student, there's definitely been no shortage of t-shirts over the years.
Yes. Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you for tuning in to Newswatch Ole Miss. I'm KYLEE DEDMON.
You can always catch our show on YouTube, hottytoddy.com, and the local campus channel. Make sure to also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm Mason SCIONEAUX. Thank you and have a wonderful weekend.